Here's another fun squeegee painting for St. Patrick's Day. I'm using a 16 by 20 stretch canvas and a squeegee I got from Dollar Tree. First thing you're going to do, on the bottom left-hand corner of your canvas, my canvas is laying flat, you're going to line up all your colors like this. Make sure you overlap blue and purple so that it will create indigo when you do the swoop, and I'm even going to put a little bit of pink on the end there as well. This is acrylic craft paint because it is a little bit more of a liquid paint. Now taking your squeegee, the goal is to move the paint all the way up to the top right-hand corner. So I'm going to hold my canvas down so it doesn't move and do one long swooping motion. Oh, there it is. And then bring the paint off onto the cardboard I have down so it doesn't get onto the table. Now this is optional, but if you don't like exactly how the lines turned out, you can take a damp brush. I'm taking a damp mop brush and going over the strokes. The paint is still wet, so they will blend, but you're not necessarily adding any color. Make sure you wipe off that brush in between each of the colors as you go and fix it up as needed. I did not put any paint on my canvas ahead of time, so the colors should be nice and bright. When you're finished with that, also make sure to take a paper towel and wipe off any drips that went on the edge of the canvas. This way they won't dry raised in the end. So that's how you do a rainbow with a squeegee. But don't feel bad if you screw it up the first time. Here's another one I did where the edge got really rough, but you know what? That's okay, I'm going to show you how to fix it. Just make sure you dry it first. Whatever you do, do not do a second pass because this is what it'll look like. And if you do a background ahead of time, just so you know, it will turn out transparent like this, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I think that's pretty too. Once it's dry, you can fix up your rainbow by adding a sky around it. So I'm taking a mop brush with some sky blue and white. Fill in the white space on either side of the rainbow. I'm doing my brush strokes on a curve, and this is the rainbow that didn't turn out quite as nice. Notice my pink got a little thick there. So all you have to do is overlap the sky blue over top, and you can make it less of a straight line and more of a curve, like that. If you have a hard time making a clean line while the blue is still wet, take a damp round brush and you can blend the edge as well. Super easy. I'm going to do the same thing to the top left side of the rainbow, fixing up all those rough edges on the red. I also did my brush strokes here on a curve. And then take that damp round brush with a little bit of water, and while the blue's still wet, blend that edge. So pretty. Okay, when I paint rainbows, I also need clouds. So take some cotton balls for this technique and dip them in a little bit of white acrylic paint. All you have to do then, because the blue is dry, is just take the cotton ball and make little circles with it. If you have a lot of paint, your white will be really bright, and as it rubs off onto the canvas, you'll get faint little circles that make it look like a fluffy cloud. Shape it however you want. Keep adding to it as needed. I'm going to have some of my cloud go across the bottom of my rainbow to make it look like it's coming out of the cloud. And don't forget the top either. I'm going to have a little tiny cloud coming off from the top right. That's so pretty. You could leave it like that, but I want to make it St. Patrick's Day themed. So taking a size 6 round brush and some bright green, let's paint some clovers. I'm mixing a little bit of white in my green to make it really bright. To start, we're going to make a heart. I have mine tilted to the right and then fill it in. This is going to be my biggest clover. We're going to paint 3 of them today. Next, paint another heart on the left-hand side tilted to the left. Notice the bottom point of the heart matches the point of the first heart. Fill that in. And then for your third leaf, it's just going to be another heart on the opposite side, meeting with the other 2. Fill them in. Don't forget a stem. I like to do a line down, a little line tilted up, and then bring it back to create what I call a funky triangle, like that. And then dry it so that you can do a second coat as needed. Now taking my round brush again, this is a size 3 round brush and some dark green paint, I'm going to do a simple outline to make it stand out from the background. You do not have to do it this thick if you don't want to, but I really want to make it pop. Earlier today, I also did a clover that had shading. I'm going to keep this one simple today, but if you wanted to do shading, I'll link that video in the description as well. Now taking my size 3 round brush again and some white paint, I am going to add some white highlights to make it pop a little more. It's up to you how many you do, but I do like to do little curves inside each of the curves of the leaves and even do a couple little tiny expression strokes on a second layer like this. anywhere you want. Let's do one even in the middle there. Perfect. Now taking a smaller round brush then, you can do the same process to create a smaller clover on the bottom left. See how it's just a little bit smaller? It's also tilted to the left, but I used the same steps I did on the other one. Taking my round brush, I'm going to outline this one as well with some dark green to stand out, so you can compare the two with and without the highlights. I really like the highlights. So I'm going to take my smaller round brush with some white paint and add those as well. Use whatever size round brush you feel comfortable with. The smaller the clovers get, I would use smaller brushes. So when I do my tiniest clover, which is going to be up here, I'm using my smallest round brush. This is a size 3. So create your heart shapes for the leaves. Just make sure they're much smaller than the other two here. I don't want to take away too much from the rainbow. Fill them in as needed, and then switch to a detail brush to do things like the stem, outline, and highlights. Because it's smaller, you need a much smaller brush. Use what works for you. I will try to have traceables for these shapes so you don't have to create them, but don't be afraid again to make them your own. You can even add different elements like a pot of gold or birds. Just have fun with it. Why am I hungry for Lucky Charms now? That's what this reminds me of. If you like this tutorial, follow me for more, and I can't wait to see how these turn out. Have fun and have a great weekend, everybody.